Red Army, welcome back to the Madras United podcast, where we dissect every game, every goal, and every heart stopping moment of Manchester United's relentless march. I'm Sanjay, your host, joined by my good friend and co host Desmond. And today we are diving into a double dose of United drama that had us on the edge of our seats. First up, that pulsating clash against Crystal Palace, a battle where Palace's Eagles tried to clip our wings, but United's fire roared back with Benjamin Sesko's winner. Then, the gut wrenching showdown with Newcastle United. After grinding out an unbeaten streak of 7 games, we faced a brutal reality check, staring down defeat in a match that exposed our cracks. How did we do in these 2 games? Was that defeat a surprise? Strap in because we are going to break it all down and we will be discussing what it means for the race ahead. Let's get into it. Des, we've been playing hot and cold with a narrow victory and a defeat where we were completely outplayed. Go on, vent it out.
Hey Sanjay, hey everyone. Yes, it's been 2 games. We've had one victory against Palace and then the loss against Newcastle United. Both games had some similarities too. We had red cards in both games. We were able to close down one, but the other one we weren't that lucky. Lots to discuss on what went right, what went wrong in both those games. I think we'll look into details. But just to look at both these games from a bird's eye view, I think one was a comeback win against Palace. We came out victorious 2-1 at Old Trafford. This one was a tale of two halves, to be honest, defined by a bit of resilience from United and then a pivotal VAR decision that went in our favor with Palace receiving the red card. I think when we started off, there was this early scare. We started off a little bit lethargically, and Palace punished us within 4 minutes from the start with that goal from Maxence Lacroix, powering home this header from this corner, outmuscling Lenny Yoro. I think our afternoon kind of worsened when Shaw limped off with a muscle injury in the 24th minute and then being replaced by Mazraoui. Going back to that goal, this header from Lacroix was brilliant. The corner came in, he kind of outmuscled Lenny Yoro and he headed this ball into the far left corner. I think Lomans couldn't do much. He was only a spectator when that ball went into that goal. But it was a brilliant header, pinpoint accuracy from him. I think that kind of set the tone for the game. Had we not gone down had Crystal Palace not gone down 10 men, gone down to 10 men, that would have made it very, very difficult for us later in the second half. I think the turning point came when early in the second half we had Cunha, who was hauled down by Lacroix, the same defender who scored the goal. I think after a lengthy VAR review, the referee kind of awarded the penalty and sent him off, denying a clear goal scoring opportunity for United. There was a lot of speculation about that challenge. Started off outside the box. There was a bit of shirt tugging, pulling, etc. And rightly so, Cunha went down to get that penalty for us. Although he kind of went down and it was a bit soft, but he had all the right to go down because there was a lot of pulling that was happening from Lacroix's end. So after this lengthy VAR review, the referee rightly pointed to the spot and we scored that penalty. Clinical finish from Bruno Fernandes, who coolly converted that 57th minute penalty. Just 8 minutes later, I think we gained momentum. Fernandes immediately turned provider. He whipped that cross in for Sesko. Sesko has been the scorer for us. His sixth goal of 2026, that towering header, and a great goal to take us 2-1 into the lead, which eventually won us that game. We had the statistical edge as well in that game. We had 20 shots on goal, 2 on target, eventually overwhelming a Palace side that had dominated the first 20 minutes, to be honest. So going back to the red card, that kind of changed everything in our favor. If it wasn't for the red card, you never know what would have happened, Sanjay. So there's something that we need to debate on a bit more in detail. That we'll come to that anyway. But let me quickly jump on to the Newcastle United game, being the first defeat of the season. Definitely disappointing, although another 10-man Newcastle, similar to what happened at Crystal Palace. I was actually very, very disappointed. We should have won the game with the amount of chances we had in the first half at St James's Park. Of course, the first defeat under Carrick. A dramatic midweek clash, United's unbeaten streak coming to an end under Carrick. There was a lot of chaos before the break in the first half. That's when all of these goals happened and where Newcastle went ahead and then we equalized. It was Jacob Ramsey who was sent off late in the first half for a second yellow card for simulation. Despite being a man down, Newcastle United won that penalty shortly after with Anthony Gordon converting that penalty, and he even dribbled the ball into the box and won the penalty for Newcastle. So that kind of tells you, how fragile we are, even though we're facing a 10-man Newcastle United or any side for that matter. You would seen that with Everton earlier this season. We were fortunate enough to score against a 10-man Crystal Palace in the second half with that Sesko header, but I think this one was completely different. We responded immediately after, instantly in stoppage time in the first half. Casemiro heading home that Fernandes free kick to make it to 1-1. But I think it was more of frustration after that. In the second half, we kind of dominated possession, but we were thwarted by this brilliant performance from Aaron Ramsdale, right? There's so many chances that we created from Euro, from Xerxes, which was goal bound anyway, and Ramsdale made this brilliant save to deny us the goal scoring opportunity. And then, of course, in the end, the sucker punch came, 90th minute. The substitute, William Osula, led this solo counter attack on the right hand side. He had a give and go with one player and then made this lung busting sprint and then curled this brilliant finish past Senna Lomans. I was actually bamboozled looking at Tyrell Malacia and the way he defended that goal, Sanjay. I mean, he kind of made it look like he was wrong-footed, and he kind of got bamboozled by Osula's dribbling, but it wasn't that bad. It was pretty much easy, but I couldn't wrap my head around why he could not defend that shot. But wrong choice in bringing on Malacia on as a substitute. But I'm not sure what went on in Carrick's head. He brought in Malacia, and that goal happened. But if not for that goal, we would have been 1-1. But I was completely shocked. The 10-man Magpies were able to pin us down and score that counter-attacking goal. So coming back to the same point again, with Newcastle, down to 10 men, and we're discussing the same topic over and over again. So we are conceding to teams who sit back and defend, and they immediately break on the counter and then score those goals. That's what happened in this game too. That's something that we need to look at and work on big time for next season and the seasons to come, so that you need overhaul in the players, etc. A different topic of discussion altogether. But I think Lomans summed it up at the end during his interview. He said it was a collective off day. And remember, we were talking yesterday about the lack of physicality in midfield where
Right.
Bobby Menu was being outmuscled. I think that kind of summed up the game overall. So we lacked the physicality compared to the hosts. Newcastle were brilliant at that. I think they came prepared and they were actually going to deploy this particular tactic by outmaneuvering us with the physicality that they've got in midfield. And remember, Sanjay, any team that dominates midfield in a game is likely to be the winner, with of course chances being
Hmm.
created and goals being scored. But
Right.
anyone who wins the midfield battle will definitely be the winner. It was to digest the fact that we were on this winning unbeaten run of games, and then we saw this first loss under Carrick, that to Newcastle United, who we managed to beat earlier in the season. What did you think of that, Sanjay, on the first loss, and what's on your mind?
Yeah. So before I answer your question, I had one question for you. The
Mm,
red card that was given during the Newcastle game, there was
mm.
a lot of controversy around it. You
Okay.
mentioned it that the second yellow was given for simulation.
Simulation, yeah.
Your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that decision?
Uh, I think if the referee viewed it and he's looking at it live and it's right in front of him, if that's the case, then I agree that that's simulation definitely. I know there's lots of speculation around that decision, but I would go with the referee on that. Did you think any differently, or what's your thoughts?
It definitely did look like simulation. There was very minimal contact from Sinalomans. He did commit to clear the ball, to catch the ball,
Mm,
but then he kind of pulled out at the last minute. The way he fell down, you saw that it wasn't like a tackle. It was
Yeah.
more like he was expecting Lomans to kind of bring him down, but that didn't happen.
True.
So it was a
Mm,
very weak fall that he had,
mhm,
and no questions there. I think that was the right decision.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to your question, yeah, I think the fairy tale had to come to an end at some point. After 7 matches in which we managed 6 wins and that one draw against West Ham United,
Yeah.
we had to face this defeat. And looking back, Carrick came in with a mountain of a task ahead of him.
Mm.
Just looking at the line of fixtures, right? Starting with Manchester City, Arsenal up next,
Oh.
away, would have been very, very daunting, but uh, no complaints there. I think all those victories we would happily take. We managed to get 19 points out of a possible 21 before the
Mm.
defeat against
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
And the good thing about those 7 games is that we were able to score 14 goals in total and we
Mm.
conceded only 6. So
Yep.
that's definitely more than what we've been doing in a similar set of games in the previous season or earlier in the season under Amorim.
Mm.
So I would say this defeat or the end of streak was just around the corner. It was only a matter of time, and if it wasn't Newcastle, I think it would have been any other team up next. We are facing Villa next. We are fighting for the third position in the table with them. So that's going to be a tough battle as well. But it's the manner in which we lost, which is kind of scaring me right now because somehow we were not there under Amarim. Carrick comes in, he waves his magic wand. We were able to pick victories against City, Arsenal. It was a golden run, but we've not been looking at the chinks in our armor during that time, right? When we get a victory, we don't look back as to how we've done it, how we've won. The scoreline doesn't tell you the complete story. It's three
Mm.
points at the end of the day, but a lot of mistakes, a lot of loopholes that need to be looked at, which we haven't been doing. And I
Yeah.
think it's probably coming at a time where we don't want it to, with about 10 games to go for the end of the season,
Mm.
but we really have to address them for the rest of the season and also during the summer. We will have to buy players, especially in the midfield, our right
Mm.
back, left back. Everything needs to be sorted if we are to probably again look at a top 3 finish or top 4 finish the next season, right? Because somehow I feel for the rest 10 games, we would scrape through, we would manage to be in the top 3 or top 4 and qualify for Champions League. But
Mm.
you rightly said we were physically outplayed in the game against
Mm.
Newcastle.
Mm.
Mainu for sure from the start. Mazraoui looked very much out of place. In the first 20 minutes, he lost possession to Joelinton. So Joelinton disposes him inside the penalty box, and then Harvey Barnes shoots just wide. That could have easily been a goal.
Yeah.
And then later, a poor clearance inside the penalty box again, which goes to Tonali. Tonali fluffs his shot. Again, that goes wide. So
Yeah.
Mazraoui looked very much out of place. Now, we were talking last week about how Diego Dallo was not a great fit in that position. He wasn't playing there. Mazraoui comes in. He performed worse than Diego Dallo. I think Dallo would have done a little better in that position. I don't know what happened to Mazraoui. He is
Mm.
usually very dependable. He's usually very strong, no matter which position he plays. But here he looked very much out of sorts. And then Casemiro also
Yeah. Yeah.
the lead up to the penalty. Casemiro was dispossessed near the half line. He was slow. I would say he was dreaming. He got the ball. He should be looking up. He's a pro midfielder, right? He should be knowing
Yeah.
what's
Yeah. Yeah.
happening over his shoulder. He should be looking behind. He should know where every player is. He had it at his feet. He was just looking around, not even trying to move forward.
Yeah.
Gordon
Exactly.
easily dispossesses him, takes the run towards the penalty box. Again, you had Mazraoui and Bruno Fernandes kind of tracking him down.
Mm.
2-on-1 easily could have kind of tackled him or he could have dispossessed him, but then uh, we concede the penalty. I don't know. It's the manner in which we lost, and
Yeah.
also the goal that you mentioned from William Osula. It
Mm.
again comes from a very weak pass from Matthews Cunha. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah. That's
was
right.
way into Newcastle's half, almost near the penalty box. I think it's a 1-2 between Bruno and Matthews Cunha.
Yeah.
Cunha tries a pass back to Bruno, but it was very weak. That's where William Osula takes possession of the ball. He does a 1-2 and boy, what a finish. I know you touched upon Tyrell Malacia. We, I don't know, we seem to have a lot of positions which we are lacking in, right? Left back, right back, midfield. It's high time we need to come out of that victory mode and start looking at what it is, because so the two challenges that we are having is, at least in the game against Newcastle, defensively, we were not great. And
Hmm.
we've been speaking about this point that we are not able to score a lot of goals and finish off games.
Yeah.
Both these points put together, we are having a major, major problem. And I'm sure teams are looking at this. Like I said, we are playing Aston Villa next. I'm sure they're
Hmm.
looking at this and they would definitely want to take advantage of these issues that we are having.
Definitely, a lot of talking points from what you just mentioned, Sanjay. Tyrell Malacia, of course, someone who has to leave for sure, has to be sold. From the list of players that we sold previously, with some of them going on loan. You had Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Garnacho being sold to Chelsea. Malacia should have been on the list, but unfortunately, we were not able to sell him. We have to sell him for sure. He's definitely not good. And I don't know what went on Carrick's mind, but he brought him on. This touching upon that goal, the penalty that we conceded and we Anthony Gordon scored, and that steal off Casemiro, like you said, was just lethargic, not looking over shoulders, and then suddenly just too much of delay in making that decision to make that pass. I think that's where we lost it. He came from behind and tackled him and took the ball away. After that, the rest is history. Goes to the point that we were discussing during one of our previous episodes. Why is Casemiro important? What are the pros and cons, etc. Cons definitely is the fact that he's losing his legs, in the sense his pace. He's
But
aging
I
and
would
he's
say
losing.
this isn't a question of his pace, right? This is a very, very rookie mistake. Probably what someone in his teens coming out of the academy or who's just
Hmm,
come into
hmm.
the team would be doing, right? With the pressure
Yeah, yeah,
manning the midfield. And that's where I'll probably compare him to Bruno. Bruno, a lot of goals that we've seen, he keeps looking
yeah.
over his shoulder. He keeps looking at where the defender
Yeah,
is.
he
He
keeps
keeps looking
scanning.
at
Yeah.
where
Hmm,
the United players are. And
hmm.
when you have possession of the ball, that's the basic thing you need to do. You need to see what's
Yeah, yeah.
around you, who's around you, and then you need to look at who you can pass it on to,
Hmm,
right?
hmm,
You need to first have possession of the ball. I know we love this counter-attacking style of play. That
hmm.
doesn't mean you get the ball and you start running forward. You really
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
understand what's happening. You cannot
Hmm.
do that for the entire 90 minutes. At
Yeah,
some
yeah.
point, you need to also delay. You'll have to bring down the momentum of the opponent. And when you have
Hmm,
possession, that's the time you can do it. Because Newcastle in this game, from the first minute, they've been having a go at us. That is the time when you need to kind of control the ball,
hmm,
pass it back, have possession, put in those passes between your defense with your goalkeeper,
hmm, hmm,
kind
hmm,
of tire them down, and then you
hmm.
need to make the move forward. Right? It isn't always that you get the ball and you start passing it across, you run forward.
Yeah, yeah.
And
True, true.
Tyrell Malacia, what I didn't understand was he came on as a substitute, definitely had fresher legs. And
Hmm,
even in this case, there was Harry Maguire and Tyrell Malacia against Osola. So two against one should have easily tracked him down.
hmm.
And Maguire also, I think when Osola took the shot, he didn't even put his foot outside. He was just
Yeah, yeah.
holding his hands behind him. He was just there. Probably he was tired. I understand it was the 90th minute, but
Hmm.
you still need to do better.
Definitely, definitely. I think the defense kind of let us down there in that moment, and we allowed a 10-man Newcastle side to finish the game off, and they came out victorious, of course.
Correct.
Uh, we've been talking about midfield, something very, very important. We also have to talk about the attack as well, and going back to the same point about killing games off. One person who's been influential for us, especially in attack, is Amad Diallo. Are we kind of missing him in the attack because we've seen him pair up with Cunha and Mbomo in that fluid front three along with Bruno, creating a lot of chances. If not scoring, I think he's been a brilliant player. Dribbling in from the right hand side, creating a lot of chaos, making it difficult for the defenders, etc. I think. I think we are missing him. What is your take on that? And the other thing that we need to look at when I say attack is the fact that we've been relying too much on Sheshko to come on and score those goals as a super sub, as well as when he's starting. So he's his target man. We expect all these crosses to come in from Bruno, and he end up ends up scoring those goals. But I think we're relying too much on him too. So there has to be a change. What is your take on both these topics, on Ahmad and as well as Chesko, talking about the attack?
Mhm. On Ahmad, given the current situation, given how we are currently playing as a formation, as a team, it's a
Hmm.
total no-brainer. He
Yeah.
has to be there in the team. And I'll tell you why. I was looking at some numbers. So
Hmm. Hmm.
this season, I've looked at the games that Diallo has started and the
Yeah.
ones that he hasn't. So
Hmm.
that's an equal number of games, 14 each, where he started and he hasn't. Out of the
Hmm.
14 that he has started, we've won 9 games and we've
Okay.
drawn 3, right? But the most important factor is in these 14 games where he started, we've scored 28 goals, which is on an average 2 goals per game. And we've only conceded 10 goals, which is about
Hmm.
uh, zero point 0.7 goals per
Yeah.
game. However, in the ones that he hasn't started, we've won only 5 and we've drawn 6 and lost 3. In those 14 games that he hasn't started, we've scored only 17 goals, which
Hmm.
brings down
Right.
our average per game to 1.2. And we've conceded 21 goals, which takes up our average to 1.5 from zero point 0.7. So
Okay.
the thing that we need to see here is one person being on the team makes a difference both in the offense and in the defense as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what Diallo does is whenever he starts, he provides a tighter defense
Hmm.
for us.
Hmm.
He runs back. He is a run machine, right? He keeps running. We've seen that in games. We've seen that in those late winners that he's given us in the last few seasons.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could be the FA Cup winner against Liverpool. It could be the winner against City at
Yeah.
Etihad. He's
Yeah.
done that. He just keeps running. And he
Hmm.
doesn't only run forward, he tracks back. So
Tracks
you
back.
see
Yes.
him
Yes.
tracking back. He doesn't
Hmm.
lose his man. He goes back. So he definitely has to be there. And one advantage or one flexibility that he provides when he's in the team is he also plays as a number 10. And what
Yeah.
that does is between between Cunha, Mbumo, Fernandez, and Ahmad, they're able to rotate around. So it's
Yeah.
not always that he plays on the right wing. You sometimes see him on the left wing as well. And
Hmm.
that's where Cunha, Mbumo kind of shuffle between
Yeah.
themselves,
Yeah.
and that
Hmm.
kind of also breaks the defense, right? So if you don't have someone like Ahmad, what happens is you start with Sheshko. Sheshko, he's going to play as your frontline striker, right? A
Hmm.
traditional striker up front, and it's very, very
Hmm.
easy for the defense to track him down. But with Ahmad, what happens is there's a lot of uncertainty. You don't know who is going to go where. After 5 minutes, the formation completely reverses. So
Hmm.
he brings in a lot of flexibility. Sheshko, I know we've spoken about it, saying he has had a great run, 6 goals in 7 games. We
Hmm.
were talking about it in probably one of the previous episodes, saying, should he start? But I also have some numbers around that. So,
Okay.
in all the games that he started this season, so when he started games, which is about 10 games, he's played on for about 850 minutes roughly, and he
Okay.
scored only 2 goals.
Okay.
However, when he's come on as a super sub, where he's only played about 450 minutes, he scored 5 goals, right? So,
Praise.
somewhere I think this role, at least for this season, I'm not saying this is how it should be for next season. Probably with more players that we're going to sign, the formation could change. But at least for the rest of the season, I strongly feel that Ahmad should start and Sheshko should be brought on as a super sub, depending on how the game is going, probably in the 60th minute or late in the 80th minute,
Hmm.
because that's a proven role that roles that both of these have been playing this season, and that's what has clicked for us.
Hmm.
Otherwise, what's happening is Sheshko is not someone who can control the ball. He's
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
who receives the ball, who shoots.
Yeah.
So that's one player less in terms of us holding possession.
Hmm.
And with Ahmad there, I think we have better control. He's able to break down defenses. He makes those runs forward, and
Hmm.
he kind of tracks back and helps with the defense as well. So looking at these numbers that I've given you for both Ahmad and Sheshko, I definitely feel that Ahmad should start and Sheshko should be brought on as a super sub late in the second half or early, depending on how we are placed at the end of the first half. But for the remainder of the season, I think Ahmad is definitely someone who needs to start. Uh, but I'm sure you have a different thought, Desmond. What do you think?
Yeah, I do actually, Sanjay. Ahmad definitely is a starter for me. We are definitely missing his dribbling, his pace. He's got this low center of gravity. He can confuse defenders, etc. He can cut into the box and score with his left foot. Do a curler, and he makes it difficult for the defenders. Kind of the fluidity as that you spoke about as well is another factor we need to look into. But yeah, is a starter for me. But a different opinion on Sheshko. Sheshko for this season, I think, like you said, should be a sub who comes on later and makes those, creates those, goals for us, goal scoring chances for us, and then eventually scores with a header or with a close range shot, a tap in, whatever an out and out striker does. So very important. But I have a slightly different take on Sheshko's involvement maybe in the future because Seshko is definitely an out and out striker. He's good with his feet. He can score from close range, goal from long range as well. Because I've seen clips of his from the Bundesliga when he's played with RB Leipzig. He's a proven goal scorer. He's very young. Maybe in the Premier League he has to adapt a bit. But I think as far as RB Leipzig are concerned, he's been a starter for them in the past. So if we have the right players in place, we definitely should have an Ahmad. We should have a player similar to Ahmad on the left wing, and we should have a proven goal scorer up front. So that's definitely important. And I think if we have the right setup, starting Sheshko wouldn't be a problem. But for now, given that we don't have much on the bench in terms of attack, and we have only Ahmad who can dribble at players and make those crosses, etc. What you said was right. Sheshko should be a sub and Ahmad should be starting, but it'll be a new story next season. We'll have to look at the amount of players that we sign, who we bring in midfield, and we're reliant only on Bruno Fernandes's his chances, right? This time around, we
Yes,
need more
yes,
creative
yeah.
players. There's a lot that needs to change, but I hope that answers your question. I wish to see Sheshko start. He has to score more goals. We cannot lose another striker. We don't want to see another Rasmus Højlund. We want this guy to succeed because we've been crying out loud for an out and out striker for a very, very long time. We want to see someone like a Ruud van Nistelrooy. We want to see someone like an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We need those goal scorers. Robin van Persie in 2013, Rooney even. But yeah, we need someone.
Right. But if we're looking at both Ahmad and Sheshko starting, would that mean we'll have to let go of someone like Cunha? When I say let go, will Cunha be the one to miss out in the starting 11?
Yeah, so someone has to sacrifice their position, right? It has to be one person who's on the bench. Of course, we
Mm.
need bench strength, and if we are back in Europe, we will be rotating players. So yeah, that someone has to take one for the team and be on the bench, be the sub. Remember Cunha has come off the bench and created some good
Exactly.
chances for us earlier this season. And, especially since the start of 2026. So I think it could be Cunha as well, but someone has to be the fall guy.
But I
So
believe
so
at
let's
that
see.
time we had a different formation. So when Cunha had to come off the bench, we had Dogo on the left flank and then
Mm,
Mbumo was
mm.
playing up front.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
now with Dogo not there, I think we can definitely see if we can go back to that approach.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Great. I know with this defeat against Newcastle, we've been very, very critical about our defense. We've
Mm,
looked at how sloppy we've been.
yeah.
But I also think we should take a step back and look at it holistically. If you look at how the defense has done overall this season, I
Mm,
personally feel we've done much, much better than what we were previously. At least we have some kind of stability at the back.
mm,
Earlier, anytime uh, the attack was on from the opponent, we were jittery about it. It was we were like it's only a matter of time before the ball
yeah.
ends at the back of the net. But now
Mm,
we have kind of consolidated. We have a good defense.
yeah.
Maguire has been doing really well. Again, someone who's been in the news previously for all the wrong reasons. But again, he's one of those players where no news is good news. He's led from the front as a
Mhm.
leader. I know he lost the armband a few seasons ago, but
Oh,
he's
yeah.
been a leader at the back and he's scored those crucial goals for us, crucial winners for us with his
Mm,
headers
mm.
and with Sana Lomans providing that stability. I think defensively we are in a better shape. I would love to hear your thoughts as well.
Oh, we definitely are in much, much better shape in defense. When I say defense, it's a collective effort from the goalkeeper and from the back four. So with Andre Onana previously, you never know, right? You never know when he's going to commit a mistake. We'll end up seeing the ball in the back of our net. The defense wasn't that confident sitting in front of him. There was always confusion. But I think this season, especially, the transformation of United's defense since the start of 2026 is one of the most significant shifts I've seen in the Carrick era. While tactical adjustments have played a massive role, I think the arrival and immediate impact of the 23-year-old Belgian has been the X factor that has stabilized our defense, our erratic backline, I should say. I spoke about this being a cohesive unit, a group effort from the goalkeeper and from the back four, the rear guard. I think Lomans has been brilliant, and we have to talk about him when we talk about the defense as well, Sanjay. So let's talk about the Lomans factor. Since he started for us in October 2025, I think the metrics have kind of undergone a radical shift. Unlike his predecessor, Mr. Onana, Lomans is often described as as an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 score in every category, in the goalkeeping department. A reliable presence rather than a high variance shot stopper. We want someone who's not just a shot stopper. Of course, that's the basic thing that every goalkeeper should do, but we need that calm in goal.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you get that immediately from Lomans. You look at his demeanor, you look at his presence during crucial situations. Even when during the Arsenal game and Everton games, he was being crowded out by the opposing defenders, but he was very, very calm in those situations, and cleared the ball most times, and he was literally wrestling with a lot of them, to be honest. I think the aerial dominance and the war in the box is also working in his favor. So he stands at about 6 feet 4, which the height which every goalkeeper should possess. He's got a robust frame. It's kind of changed how we defend set pieces as well. So in terms of claiming crosses, right, he ranks in the 99th percentile for stopping crosses, approximately 13%, a massive jump from 5% for Onana.
Mhm.
And of course, the Van der Sar comparison also happened. You should have seen that interview with Gary Neville, where Van der Sar mentioned that he's noted that Lomans' calm temperament and his ability to rise above the crowded 6 yard box during pressure situations has kind of reminded him of his own playing style. That's a huge compliment coming in from a serial winner in Van der Sar with Ajax and with United. He also played for Fulham in the Premier League, won the treble with United, and one of the best goalkeepers that we've seen in a long time after Peter Schmeichel. So that's such a great compliment from him if he sees Lomans being a similar player to what he was. And his shot stopping ability has also been brilliant, right? His overall performance, not just his physical present, he's been good statistically as well in goal for us. Goals being prevented according to Opta's expected goals on target, the model that we look at in through Opta. Lomans has prevented 3.81 more goals than the average keeper this season. That talks
Wow.
volumes about this guy. And look at the errors as well, Sanjay. So we've not seen any errors at all since this guy's come in. Most crucially, he's recorded zero unforced errors leading to goals since his arrival. That's a statistic that has breathed confidence into defenders like Matthias de Ligt, Lenny Yoro, Lisandro Martinez, be it Maguire, be it Aiden Heaven, who's a young kid who's standing in right in front of the goalkeeper. That gives you the confidence, right? If you don't commit errors, even if the defenders let go, you know for a fact that this guy is going to cover up for you and try and collect the ball with a calm and cool finish. So the tactical stability is also an important factor here under Carrick. While we have Lomans providing that individual security in goal, the overall tactic, the overall framework has kind of reduced the workload on the defense. Remember, we were talking about the low block being deployed by a lot of teams. There's
Right.
also the mid block that we have actually deployed. So when we play in a 4-2-3-1, style of play, that's called the mid block deployment. So going back to the basketball style of play that we had with Amorim and with previous regimes, where we have a lot of box to box action happening.
Hmm.
A mid block is where we are situated somewhere in between midfield. The entire team is in midfield, almost the defense and midfield in our half, while the attack is in the opposition's half. We try and make those transitions. That's during possession, and during out of possession, we convert into a compact 4-4-2 defensive line. So that's very, very important. So Casemiro has been our anchor in possession as far as the midfield is concerned. Of course, the game against Newcastle was a one-off, but I mean, he's provided the stability, and it's going to be difficult for us to replace him. So he
Hmm.
often drops between the two centre backs. If you look at most games, creating this temporary back three, and then you have both these fullbacks and Diogo Dalot and the left back pushing high up, to try and attack. So that kind of provides a safety net for us, and that we've got this a bit of an asymmetric defense as well. I've observed that with Mazraoui when he comes in, he kind of stays back in his position, does not go too much high up the pitch. He's got this conservative stabilizer kind of a role, while
Hmm.
if you see a left back in Shaw, he's given the license to roam, and you'd see Shaw going right up the pitch and trying to make those crosses, or double up with the attacker and have those 1-2s with them and then make those crosses at the end. So that kind of ensures we have that balance where we are rarely caught on the break with equal numbers, right? So of course, we've had those moments where we've been caught on the counter, but that's something that we need to work on. When we have this perfect defense, where we have the right fit of players in our squad, we buy into the philosophy of whoever is the manager. That's going to be there in the next season. But once that is drilled down into the players, I think we'll adapt. And we'll be able to perform much better. We've got quality over quantity. Statistic analysis shows that we are still facing a fair number of shots on goal, but the shots on target have dropped from 0.17 to 0.10 since Lomans and the Carrick system has been deployed. So that goes to show that we're definitely improving there. Opponents are being forced into long range efforts rather than bigger chances close to the goal. So that's what we're seeing. And if you look at the previous game as well versus Newcastle, of course we conceded a couple of sloppy goals.
Yeah.
Barring that, I think if you look at the previous games, there's been lots of long range efforts from the teams. That speaks volumes. Errors leading to goals before Lomans came in, 3 errors in 6 matches. After Lomans came in, there's no errors at all. I cannot think of anything that's come out as an error from his end. Clean sheets, we had just one before him. 5 clean sheets
Hmm.
after he started starting for us in goal. Save percentage has been 54.2 prior to him. It's 66.7 after Lomans took over. And the stats can continue, right? There's so much to talk about Senna Lomans and the defense altogether. But I think that Senna Lomans factor has been one of the spectacular highlights. By claiming all the crosses that I spoke about earlier, his stats, and making those saves that he should be making, that every goalkeeper should be making, he's kind of eliminated this panic that we used to have previously when Onana was there, remember? So I think that's one of the great things, and I can keep on talking about Lomans over and over again. By far, the signing of the season, Sanjay. What a steal! Just
Hmm.
18 million pounds. He's kind of fixed our defense as well in a way, I should say, and at the same time, our defense is also performing well. So yeah, brilliant from the defense, but a lot of work to do. We have to have a fit bench so that we can rotate between defenders. That's also very important. Looking forward to that next season.
And I say that you've become a huge fan of Sana Loman, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad. And thanks to Amarim for bringing him in.
yeah, definitely.
I've also seen that comparison with Edwin van der Sar, but I believe for him to become like Edwin van der Sar, he needs to be a lot more vocal. That's
Mm,
something I've not been seeing right now. I know it's his first season; he's still settling in, but he needs to marshal the troops from behind. Like you
of
rightly said,
course,
it's the
of
goalkeeper
course.
and the defenders who form the
Mm,
defense, and he
mm,
needs to marshal the troop. He needs to be very, very vocal. I have those images of Edwin van der Sar shouting out
yeah,
at Vidic or uh, Ferdinand, right,
Ferdinand.
saying,
Yeah,
"What's happening? How can you let them in?" So I need to see that aggression. But I believe it's something that will come over time because I also
yeah, yeah.
remember when David De Gea started, initially he was a little scrappy. He took his time,
Mm,
but then
mm,
he
mm.
started being that massive mountain in front of goal. So Yeah, I think I definitely agree with you. He's definitely been
Yeah,
our star signing of the season.
of
And
course.
mhm,
Yeah, I mean, we've got to cut the kid some slack, Sanjay. He's
definitely.
23. Yeah, he's 23. Remember, Van der Sar started for us. Started with United when he was in his 30s,
Right.
if I'm not wrong. So he was an established goalkeeper. Then he had the experience of playing for Fulham in the Premier League. He knew how things worked in the Premier League. So with time, I'm pretty sure this guy is going to be a long term successor for De Gea. To be honest, yeah, because Andre Onana, I still don't consider him to be a great goalkeeper. I don't know. He kind of worked wonders at Inter Milan, but I think we were bluffed into buying him, and we made that mistake. But
Right.
Lomans, I'm definitely looking forward to.
Right. And the last question for the day to you.
Mm,
With about 10 games remaining for the end of the season,
mm,
what can we expect? Because we've spoken about the defensive challenges or the
yeah.
challenges in the midfield that we have.
Mm,
And that reminds me of a reel or a meme that I saw after the Newcastle game where I saw United fans talking about how Carrick was not happy or wasn't convinced that the second yellow, which finally became a red card,
yeah.
should have been given. And hence he brought on Manuel Ugarte to level the playing field.
Yeah.
And that's us just being sarcastic about it. But that's in fact true, right? Ugarte hasn't done
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
so if Casemiro is not there, we have no one to fill that position. We've also spoken about how important it's for Ahmad to start. So, what are we looking at for the rest of the season, for the remaining 10 games? What do you think our formation should be? What do you think our style of play should be? Because it's been a
Mm,
roller coaster of a season. We were probably not doing great in the first 6, 7 months. We were
mm,
somehow in the top half of the table. And then
mm,
Carrick comes in, suddenly a new boost. Now, that Carrick run of games was something also which was very similar to what we had when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over in
yeah.
2018. We
Yeah.
initially had a run of 8 games where across all competitions where we were
Mm,
unbeaten. But
mm, mm,
post that, we kind of stabilized, but we really did well.
mm.
Again, it's going to be a test for Carrick as well because I'm sure he's also gunning for the managerial role for next season.
Yeah.
A lot of questions to be answered. What do you think we should be doing?
Yeah, good question, Sanjay, and a tough one to answer as well, because we've got 9 games to go. We are
Mhm.
third in the table. We have 51 points, but the race is definitely on for third place. You have at least 4 or 5 teams competing for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. With
And
only
that's one
nine,
point I had as well
yeah,
because we've been speaking about how we are not able to finish games.
yeah,
Here against Newcastle, who are placed 12th in the table, we had
mm,
a position to go 2 points ahead of Villa and make the third place ours.
yeah,
We were
definitely,
not able to convert that as well. And now we are level on points with Villa and we are playing them next. So,
yeah, yeah.
apart from finishing of games, we are not able to consolidate our position on the table as well.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, so let's quickly look at the run in for the remaining fixtures. Right, 15th of March we have Villa at home. Villa are currently level with us on 51 points. We definitely want to go clear of them and stick to third place. That's going to be a tough fixture for us. Villa are definitely a great team, and we have to give it our everything when we play them. We have to bounce back from that Newcastle loss, and that's going to be a tough one for us. So 15th of March it's Villa. 20th of March, we go to Bournemouth away. We have to target 3 points before we go into the international break. Bournemouth, remember, another tough team to beat. They've got some great players. They've been doing really well. Remember, they've lost Antoine Semenyo to City, but they're still doing really well. A
Mhm.
tricky team. You cannot be complacent against them, and it's an away game, so they'll definitely be at their very best. So that's another tough fixture. 13th of April, we've got Leeds United at home, the Lancashire Derby, high intensity, must win game. This one game where we've got a decent chance of winning and taking all 3 points. But remember, the style of play Leeds have are high intensity, high pressing, and they're doing really well as well. They've drawn games against the top sides this season, and that's a must win for us again. Of course, all games are must win, but this one is a game where we can get the 3 points a bit easily as compared to the others. So we have to be a little careful there. 18th of April, we are away to Chelsea. Chelsea again, 48 points and are surging right now. They're having a massive push for the top four, and that's a hurdle that they've got to cross. They've got Liam Rosignol, who's given the chance at the helm this time around with Chelsea, coming in from Strasbourg. He wants to prove a point. His dad's a pundit with one of the television channels, so he's got to prove a point to his dad too. So that's something that Chelsea will be looking at, the top four finish. So it's a tough game against Chelsea. They've got a huge squad. They've got a lot of players. They've been playing hot and cold sometimes this season, but they'll also be looking to push for that top four position. So that's going to be a tough game against Chelsea. Brentford next after that at home on the 27th of April. We've lost the reverse fixture 3-1. It's
Hmm.
chance for a revenge. But remember, Brentford without Thomas Frank have been brilliant. They've been this team who are working like a well-oiled machine since they came into the Premier League a few seasons ago. They've just been difficult to defeat. Remember, I think it was a Ten Hag season when we started. I think we lost, if I'm not wrong, 4-0 or 5-0 to Brentford. Yeah, there was it was a 5-goal game,
Yeah.
and we lost to Brentford that game, and it was really difficult
Hmm.
to beat them. So they've been very difficult to beat since then. On occasions, we have outclassed them, but yeah, they've been a resilient side, and that's another fixture that we need to look forward to. Come 2nd of May, it's Liverpool at home, our arch rivals' biggest home game left in the season.
Hmm.
Liverpool again on 48 points, up chasing hard for the top four finish. Arne Slot has to prove that he deserves to be in the hot seat at Liverpool. He won the season, won the league with them last season, and he's got a point to prove this time around. They've had a shaky start. They're slowly getting back into the groove. They lost against Wolverhampton Wanderers recently. Another blip in their radar. They're trying to prove a point. We've beaten them at Anfield this time around. A huge statement win from United, but
Hmm.
we have to do the double on them this time. We cannot let them go, and we cannot let them off the leash. And then we've got Sunderland away on the 9th of May, a potential banana skin situation against a mid-table side. I'll tell you why. Sunderland have been brilliant this season. They've performed well against the big sides. They've got Granit Xhaka, who's their captain, who's been brilliant for Arsenal, who played for Leverkusen in Germany, who's come back here to play for Sunderland. He's doing really well. Overall, as a side, they're giving a tough fight to any team that comes across their path. That's going to be difficult for us. Nottingham Forest on the 17th of May, final home game of the season. Still, Nottingham Forest have lost managers in the recent seasons. Nuno Espirito Santo going off. Then you had
Hmm.
Ange Postecoglou, and then now you've got a new manager at the helm. But they've been doing really well. They drew against City 2-2. They still got it in them, despite the changes that they're undergoing right now. They're still staying resilient. So that's going to be tough. And I'm going to call it the final tough game of the season.
Hmm.
24th of May, it's Brighton away. A final day of the season that could determine whether we finish third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. You were saying it's third or fourth. I'm saying it is going to be a realistic fifth or sixth place finish. Let's see. The final game will decide what happens to us for next season. But Brighton have beaten us in the FA Cup earlier this season. We have beaten them in the first fixture at home. But yeah, that's going to be another tricky one too. What we need to secure top four is some of these factors that we need to consider. We've got to play this mini league at Old Trafford. The home
Hmm.
games is what I mean. Aston Villa, Brentford, and Liverpool at home. Uh, the away form being a little shaky. I think we'll have to rely on getting all 9 points from these three games. Old Trafford has remained a fortress for some time for us in the recent, let's say, 4 5 months. I think we should make use of that. Take at least 7 points from these games, and we have to look at the other games too simultaneously. The Sheshko dependency, I know we spoke at length about it, Sanjay, but I think we're relying too much on Sheshko, on his goals, and we're also relying on Bruno Fernandes for his assists. We've got to get in Amad. We've got to get Mbomo scoring and Cunha contributing and scoring as well. We've got Joshua Zirkzee, who's on the bench, who's more he's looking a more creative player, and he's got a
Hmm.
good hold up play. He's involved a lot in the box. So we cannot continuously rely on Fernandes and Sesko to score for us. We've got to see the attack work well, and we've got to see the others score. So that's going to be an important factor if we are going to push for that top four. And finally, we've got to have that defensive discipline. Shaw, is out injured right now after the Crystal Palace game. We have Lisandro Martinez, who could play at left back, or Carrick could go for Mazraoui at left back because he's very versatile. Coming in from Ajax, he could play in any position. He plays on the right back, left back, midfield, wherever you put him. So he could be the one to fill in there. And finally, the Lomans factor.
Mhm.
We've waxed lyrical about Senna Lomans, and he has to be our talisman, avoiding the chaos and ensuring that we keep clean sheets. So that's going to be very, very important for us. Historically, 68 to 78 points guarantees top four in a season. And we are currently on 51, with 18 to 20 points from the remaining 27 that's available for us. So that translates to roughly 6 wins and 2 draws in the final 9 games. So there's no losses that we can afford. So if we do that, we'll be able to secure top four. If not, Sanjay, it's going to be a reality check for us, with us sitting in the Europa League next season. That's my take.
So you've clearly laid out the path in terms of all permutations and combinations that will
Yes,
guarantee a
definitely.
top four finish. And
Yeah.
I believe the first step in that journey is to beat Villa and secure
Hmm.
those 3 points. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very tough. And I hope that we don't leave it till the last game for us to know whether we are going to be in the Champions League or not, because that's one
Yeah.
thing that we definitely need as a morale booster financially, and also for us to uh, have those games against the best of Europe. But
Hmm.
one thing I definitely want to concede is I was only able to watch the first half of the Newcastle game because it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to catch those late starts. We were able to do it in the past, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. And if we qualify for Champions League, that's going to be another challenge next season. So
Yeah.
we definitely want to play the Champions League, but it'll be tough for us to stay up and watch the entire match.
Yeah, we'll probably write to UEFA, Sanjay, if we qualify,
We
and
have
ask
to.
them to have the Champions League games during the day in Europe, so that we could catch those games in the evening, our time. So yeah, jokes apart, like you said, Champions League is very, very important. Both from a morale boost, we belong in Europe, playing midweek in those Champions League games. We need to hear that anthem playing. We need United in the tunnels, standing alongside other European teams. Of course, we need the money. Remember, we have 1.2 billion pounds in debt. We're planning to build a new stadium that's worth 2 billion pounds. Where is the money going to come from? We need money from our sponsors, Adidas, who are going to cut a certain percentage, 10%, if I'm not wrong, every season if you're going to miss the Champions League. And we need the extra 100 or 150 million that comes in from qualifying and from moving on from one stage to another in the Champions League. So it's down to money as well, Sanjay. So we need the money.
Absolutely. Okay, so there you have it, Red Army. Palace showed our steel, but Newcastle snapped that 7 game streak and left us licking wounds. It's moments like these that forge legends, not fairy tales. Bruno's vision, Sheshko's spark, we've got the tools. Now it's all about channeling that fire for the run in. What did you make of it? Hit us up on Instagram or WhatsApp, smash that follow, and rate us on Spotify. And we'll catch you next time as United rises again. Glory, glory, Man United.
Thank you, everyone, and see you around. Bye for now.